The Mystery of Lost Libraries. Humanity's Erased Memory. Chapter 1. The Darkness of Ink, the Black of the Tigris. It was February of the year 1258. Baghdad was experiencing one of the darkest winters in its history. The sky above the city was covered with smoke from the siege. The massive army of the Mongol ruler Hulagu Khan was not only surrounding the walls, but also the very intellect of a civilization. Within months, when this jewel of Islamic civilization fell, the world didn't just lose treasures or land, it lost its memory. A man standing by the Tigris River noticed something strange that day. First, the river turned red with the blood of thousands who had been killed. But days later, the red gave way to a different kind of darkness, a pitch-black current. This darkness came from the ink of millions of manuscripts, priceless parchments, and centuries of accumulated knowledge that were thrown into the river. According to legend, a bridge formed from the books, and Mongol horsemen crossed the river on this road of knowledge. But was it only paper that sank beneath the Tigris that day? No. There lay unsolved equations of Al-Khwarizmi, lost interpretations of Greek philosophy, and perhaps medicines we are still trying to discover today. The great structure we call science, which we use to understand the world today, was shaken to its core on that winter day in Baghdad. In this video we will follow the trail of history's greatest tragedy, the destruction of libraries and the erasure of humanity's mind. Chapter 2. The Golden Age of the House of Wisdom. The House of Wisdom in Baghdad was not just any library. It was a universal center of intellect that reached its peak in the 9th century under Caliph al-Ma'mun. It was a place where mathematicians from India, philosophers from Greece, and astronomers from Central Asia came together. Through the Great Translation movement, all the knowledge humanity had produced up to that point was translated into Arabic, processed, and used to build a new intellectual world. Here, the zero of India merged with the logic of Greece. From this union, modern algebra was born. Here, eyes were turned to the sky, and maps of the stars were drawn. The House of Wisdom was like a great candle burning in a dark world. But every flame also attracts darkness. Knowledge meant power, and power always brings envy and destruction. Chapter 3. The Nightmare of Alexandria. Centuries before Baghdad, another great destruction took place on the shores of the Mediterranean, the Library of Alexandria, one of the greatest what-if questions in human history. If the Library of Alexandria had not burned, would we have homes on Mars today? This may sound exaggerated, but when you consider the nearly 700,000 scrolls it contained, it might not be. Aristotle's works, Sophocles' lost tragedies, Aristarchus's early studies showing that the earth revolves around the sun, all were there. How it was destroyed remains one of history's greatest mysteries. Was it Julius Caesar, religious extremists, or simple neglect over time? What we do know is this: when Alexandria burned, the internet of the ancient world was disconnected. Humanity woke up one day to find thousands of pages of its past gone. The concentration of knowledge in a single place became its greatest weakness. One flame was enough to illuminate it and to destroy it. Chapter 4. The Sorrow of Andalusia and Cordoba. Now let us turn west, to the most advanced corner of Europe at the time, Andalusia. In the 10th century, while Europe was in the Dark Ages, Cordoba had a library containing 400,000 books. Meanwhile, the largest monastery libraries in Paris or London held only a few hundred. The Library of Cordoba was not just a storage space, it was a way of life. But with political turmoil and the Reconquista, it became a target. When Granada fell in 1492, it is said that hundreds of thousands of manuscripts were burned in the city square under the command of Cardinal Cisneros. The smoke rising from that square was not just paper, it was the smoke of coexistence and scientific superiority. Europe later translated some of this knowledge into Latin and began the Renaissance, but many original sources were lost forever. Chapter 5. Samarkand and the Loneliness of Ulugh Beg. In Central Asia, another tragedy unfolded in Samarkand. Ulugh Beg, grandson of Timur, was more a scientist than a ruler. The observatory and library he built were dedicated to understanding the heavens. His star catalogue, the Zigi Ulugh Beg, was considered the most accurate in the world for centuries. But his story shows that knowledge can be destroyed not only by outsiders, but also by ignorance from within. When he was killed by his own son, his observatory was destroyed and his library scattered. Without political will and social awareness to protect it, knowledge cannot survive, even within the most powerful empires. Chapter 6. Why did we lose? Arrogance, ignorance, and vulnerability. So how did the smartest minds in the world fail to protect these treasures? 1. Centralization. When knowledge is gathered in one place, like Baghdad or Alexandria, its capture means total loss. There was no distributed system like today's internet. If a book burned, that knowledge vanished from the universe. 2. Arrogance and false security. Scholars believed the walls of libraries would protect them, but war and barbarism do not understand beauty or science. To a Mongol soldier, a priceless medical book was just fuel for a fire. 3. Disconnected knowledge. When knowledge remains confined to elites, the public does not own it. When libraries burned, millions outside did not even realize what had been lost. Chapter 7. The digital libraries of the modern world. Final. Today, we think things are different. In our phones, we carry more knowledge than the Library of Alexandria ever held. Everything is digital. But are we truly safe? Imagine a massive solar storm, a global cyber war, or a collapse of energy systems. If all digital data were erased, what would remain? Paper and ink could survive for 1,000 years, but our digital data depends on electricity. Perhaps we are the most knowledgeable generation in history, but also the most fragile. We must understand the pain of those scholars who once stood by the Tigris and watch knowledge disappear. Because knowledge is not just something stored. It is a legacy that must be protected and passed on. If we fail to value it, one day someone may create a video about us titled, "The Lost Libraries of the Digital Age." Thank you for joining me on this journey through history. What do you think is humanity's greatest treasure of knowledge today? And what are we doing to protect it? Let's meet in the comments. In the next video, we will explore the world of a genius who survived these destructions and laid the foundations of modern science, Al-Khwarizmi. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, because history doesn't just tell the past, it reveals the future.